Growing houseplants indoors in the winter, sometimes they can pose problems. Hot, dry indoor air can invite unwanted pests, and your plants get a little bit wilty. Anyways, here with tips on keeping your plants safe, we have Master Gardener Ed Sourdiffe. He's the Green Thumb Guru, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
It's good to be here, Seth.
Now, we're going to talk about bugs that get on your plants a little bit later in the show, but
Yes.
for now I want to talk about how to keep our plants, and ourselves for that matter, with enough moisture in the air so that everything is okay. There's multiple ways to do it. Let's start over here with this. What do we have here?
Well, that's a regular humidifier. Like you were saying, the house is dry in the winter for humans and plants. If you're not comfortable in your house, your plants certainly won't be. They're from tropical regions usually, or think of the summer, how nice and balmy it is. That's what the plants would prefer. So over there we have a humidifier, which is an electric way of creating some moisture. I don't know if the people at home can see the steam rising out of it. But
oh, very much so. And the other thing that makes this different from a lot of humidifiers I've seen is that this one is pushing up hot air.
Yes, this is actually boiling the water in a little thing in there, and it's actually bringing some nice steam into the room. So you don't need filters with it.
Because it's already purified water.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about bacteria or anything. So that's a great way to add some humidity to the house. And the plants like it, and you should like it around 50% humidity is good. Actually, you can get a little hygrometer, or like I have a little thing here.
Let me see that.
The top part of it is actually a remote device that's at home, so it's not reading it right now. But the bottom's telling you that in here it's 77, and it's only 13% humidity.
Ooh, hey, do you mind letting us keep the humidifier then for a little bit?
I should probably.
We should.
Yeah, so
very dry in here.
Yeah, so if you get something like that, you can actually be surprised how dry your house is. So you really want it around 50. There's different ways of doing it. You can actually dome your plants or put plants in a terrarium like that. We had talked about that close show.
And this would preserve the moisture, much like a greenhouse.
Yeah, because the plants, what they actually do as they breathe, they transpire, they let off moisture, and it would create its own moisture in there. So that would help them out. Or, you know, you could get cacti and things like that, and or succulents, and they can handle the dry air. But most other plants really need a little bit more humidity.
Now, we also have this pebble approach. What's that?
Yes. At home, if you have a tray, this is made specifically for like a windowsill. You could actually take the tray if you want to just put some of this gravel in it.
Sure.
All we do is just pour it in here like that.
Easy enough.
Yeah, and then you're going to put your plants on that after you put it in there.
On top of it.
Yeah, on top of it, but you would pour, if you want to pour some water in there too.
I would love to. Oh.
Yep, oh, you missed.
Okay, this is longer than, you know, your average
it's a big
one.
spot. Got enough water, because when we put the plant in there, we don't want the plant soaking in the water, because then the plant would drown. So it actually is elevated above the water with the gravel. And so then the air can go around with the moisture, and it'll help the plant. And you can see this fern actually had problems. I had brought this on before to show. It actually has little browning tips, and that's indicative of having not enough moisture in the air. Especially ferns are really susceptible.
Well, then
to
you
that.
shouldn't bring them to this studio, because as this tells us, it's a very dry studio we've got going on here.
Fern's not happy right now.
Another thing that people can do is group their plants. What do you mean by that?
Yes, well, plants, like I said earlier, they actually transpire, meaning they let off moisture as they breathe.
Just like we sweat.
Yes, but they're breathing and they're letting it out, so it's like when moisture comes out of your mouth.
Oh, okay.
So I have some begonias here. These begonias, if we actually put them in a little grouping, we could either, you know, get a pot where we could put them all in it like that. They would actually help each other, because as they're letting off moisture, they would actually create a pool of moisture there that would help them out a bit.
Like their own miniature ecosystem.
Yeah, they would. They would actually work like that. And begonias are really susceptible to low humidity. So that would be a good thing. Of course, like the tray, you could do a bigger tray like this, put multiple plants. So they would like it if you didn't have them in one thing, but you had a bunch of gravel again, and then you just had a bunch of plants in here. That'd be good.
So you've got our grouping, and we've got the pebble method in there, which is fantastic.
Yeah, would be the same thing.
Now, a lot of times in the winter, our plants, they're not in great shape, and because of bugs and animals. So later in the show, we're going to talk about that. Is that right?
Yeah, because the stresses of winter, like the lack of humidity, the lack of light, we have no light this time of year. The plants are stressed out, and so just like if you're stressed, you get sick. So then they become susceptible to disease and to insects. And we have that over here. And I'll show
we
you
will
that.
discuss that later in the show. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Mass Appeal. We're back with Master Gardener Ed Sourdiffe. We're talking about these winter pests that you need to be aware of. Why is it that in the winter, because people think their homes are safe places, but there are pests that come in?
Well, the pests are there, and sometimes you'll bring a plant in that has it, then they'll spread. But the reason that your plants are getting them in the winter and you might not see that in the summer is because in the winter your plants are stressed. We talked about the humidity's down, so they're dying because of that. They don't like that.
Their immune system's low.
Yes, it's like, if you're at work all the time, you're not getting any sleep, you're going to get a cold or two.
Yep.
So the plants, there's no humidity, no light in the winter, the days are short, the light is weak. So these plants are like just trying to get by. So then they're susceptible to diseases and insects. And
so we're going to talk about the 3 most popular insects. Well, I guess they're not really popular because everybody hates them. But the 3 insects that are on most of these plants, and then how to get rid of them. Let's talk spider mites first.
Okay, spider mites are probably more invisible. You can't really see them. If you had something like that begonia over there, you would probably just see tiny little cobwebs all over it. And then
those are the webs.
Yeah, those are the webs of the spider mites. They're not really spiders, but they have the webs. They'll be under the leaves. If you took a magnifying glass, you could see little specks moving around too. That's what causes that really is dry air. The plant's a little too dry, so you can actually mist the plant. That'll help it.
Can I? Because I can't
sure.
have an epidemic in the studio.
Well, they don't really have it.
Okay, good. Next up, we have mealybugs.
Mealybugs are the most awful bug in the world, according to me. Once you get them, they say if you get a plant in that has a mealybug, throw it out.
Well, we're looking right now there's a leafy residue there. Now,
well, that's actually probably the egg cases and probably some mealybugs in there. It looks like cotton like that. You can actually, we even have it on the plant here. I brought one in that had it. You can see that on there, there's a little colony of them right there. There's some right down here on the stem, the little white masses. Those, a good way to get rid of them is you can either spray with neem oil, which is more of an organic. It's made from the neem nut from a tree. You can spray that on. You can actually take them off. If you see the clusters, you can use a little rubbing alcohol. Just put that on a Q-tip and go in there and then just wipe them off and you'll get rid of them. Also, I like dishwashing soap. You can find one that you like, maybe put about a tablespoon in a quart of water and spray, and that'll actually smother them. They won't be able to breathe anymore.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
well, I mean, not for the bugs, but
for you and the plant.
Because this way you can kind of do all of your indoor plants at once instead of trying to spot treat them.
Yes, but be careful. You always want to test any kind of thing that you use on a plant. Make sure it's not photosensitive, like if it's in the light, if that'll hurt it. Some plants, African violets, probably wouldn't like that. So maybe you would use something like the rubbing alcohol and just go and get that insect on its own.
Ed, lastly, tell us a little bit about aphids.
Oh, aphids are, that's what's on this geranium actually. They are usually a larger green, well, you see it right there on the picture. They're green like that. They
blend in.
Yeah, they do. They're on there. And you can actually see on this one, they actually, when they grow up and they shed their skins, you'll see little skins all over. Now, this guy had a lot of aphids this morning on the way in the Jeep. I think they got shaken off, which is another
So
cure.
you should probably spray stuff on your Jeep now, too.
Well, no, they'll die because tonight it'll get really cold in that Jeep
true.
and they'll be gone.
So I think if there's any tip, maybe you just spray the whole thing down because better late than never.
Well, I think what I would do is just observe and then wash them, give them a shower. They love to be in the shower in the winter, get rid of the dust, and then you'll see if there's anything on it and then see if you need to get in there and do something for the plant.
Ed, always a pleasure. More information at mymassappeal.com. And now a story